Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Watch this video here from Kyle Kalinske. Pretty good.
So as you all know, Zoran had a massive victory yesterday to win a New York City Democratic primary for the mayor. There's still a chance that Cuomo could try to rat fuck him by hopping in as an independent, but the fact that he won in the first round is like
huge,
incredible. I said this on my show. Only 1 out of 32 polls had him winning in the first round.
I didn't see any polls that had him winning.
One, there was a public policy polling poll, and that's it. All the others had him down. And you know, they had him down, some polls had him down like 8 or 10.
Yeah, nobody was expecting him to be ahead in the first round. We were setting up, because we were live streaming the show with like, okay, well, if Cuomo is above 6, then it's probably going to be difficult for Zoran to overcome. If it's more like 3, 4, then Zoran's down. But we never were like, Zoran's going to win the first round. And I also was prepared for, they weren't even going to start counting the ranked choice until July 1st.
July 1st.
So it's like, there's no way we're going to know tonight.
But now he's probably going to increase his margin of victory too.
Yeah, definitely. So because the third place Brad Lander
got like what, 11 or something
11%,
like that?
And the campaign, Zoran's campaign, told us that some 80 to 90% of Lander votes are ranking him second.
Yeah.
So second.
Did he end up winning by 8 over Cuomo in the first round? Did that hold?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I mean, it's just a bloodbath. It's just a bloodbath.
Landslide.
And of course, you know, the takeaway is the old guard of the Democratic Party. I mean, they are fucking running on fumes, dog. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, he's a huge name in Democratic politics. He, of course, had his 50,000 scandals, and he was taking Trump billionaire money. But it was viewed as like, oh, Cuomo's got this. Like, it's kind of a chew-in type deal. And it just didn't happen. You have a young, Muslim, immigrant, democratic socialist who supports Palestinians who just crushed. So, I mean...
Who's ready to arrest Netanyahu if he shows up in New York.
Based. I said that's got to be... That's got to be a litmus test for the Democratic Party now, because look, hey, it works. It works.
And you know what? It is so glorious that in the city in America with the largest Jewish population, they thought they could run this anti-Semitism bullshit smear campaign and came in with tens of millions of dollars, and it didn't work. I mean, I really want to know the numbers, but I would be, you know, I would not be surprised at all if Zoran actually won Jewish voters. So, you know, all of their tricks, all of their actual stereotyping of Jewish people and anti-Semitism, assuming that every Jewish person, their number one priority must be like your policy on Israel and Tel Aviv, all of that completely obliterated, and that is so glorious.
Look, I grew up in New Rochelle, New York, which is literally like just above the city, right, on the map. And I grew up in an area that was a very Jewish area. A lot of my friends are Jewish. Corin's Jewish. My buddy Henry's Jewish. Like, I grew up in that, around them. And first of all, they're fully fucking American. Second of all, they're not, like, their main issue is not fucking Israel. Like, they care about, like, cost of living and shit. And so when Zoran's like, freeze the rent, it's like, fuck yeah, freeze the rent. When he's like, free childcare, they're like, fuck yeah, free buses. Fuck yeah, free buses.
I mean, Zoran definitely had Jewish people working on his campaign. He had many Jewish supporters. Brad Lander is the highest Jewish elected official in the city of New York.
Yep, that's right.
So, I mean, just this caricature and this stereotype, this idea that all Jewish people are like, yes, we must be fully committed to the genocide in Gaza.
That's bigoted.
It's
that's
bigoted. It's utterly disgusting.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's important because other candidates are going to watch that and see that he was able to. This is a guy who supports BDS. He called it a genocide. I mean, he wasn't pulling punches. And
no, when they attacked him, he doubled down.
That's right. And so, you know, the fact that he was able to do that and do that in New York City really sends a message to other candidates to, you know, I think it will strengthen their resolve to also be similarly principled on it, because the Democratic base is there. Like, the Democratic base is all the way there. So you don't need to be afraid of the voters, certainly.
Absolutely.
And calling out this horror and this genocide.
So today, and somebody said this last night, they were like, I'm waiting for that first Trump tweet to hit about Zoran. And then today, he delivered.
Yeah.
This is hilarious, so read it for everybody. This is great, y'all.
He said, it's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zoran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primaries on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks terrible.
Oh my God, bro. That is the worst projection I've ever heard.
His voice is grating.
What?
He's not very smart.
Oh my God.
He's got AOC +3, that's what he means by the squad, I guess. Dummies all backing him, and even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. I wish that was the case. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country. So, man, the envy just oozing out of this post.
This is one of the upsides of lefties winning, is that it really baits the right into showing how fucking insane they are. It makes the right so much more unappealing because they don't know how to handle a lefty.
Yeah.
Because lefties actually have principles, they believe in something, they argue for it, and it puts them in a position where he's like, oh yeah? You're ugly.
Well, did you
like,
see...
What?
Did you see... which I think the consensus is generally that Zoran is a pretty good-looking man.
Zoran's a hot-ass dude, bro.
They tried so hard to find, like, bad pictures of him to use in
But
their, like, mailers, and they just would make him look, like, more cool. You know, I mean, it's just... But, did you see the Fox News, like, the graphics that they'd put up about his, like, terrible socialist plans? And it'd be, like...
Freeze the rent.
Childcare. Freeze the rent.
Yeah.
Like,
$30 minimum wage by 2030.
One of them was, like, a free package for newborn babies.
Oh,
what a monster.
How dare you.
And that's the thing is that when you run that way, to your point,
you bait them into being like,
into being ridiculous.
Can you believe he wants to give everybody health care? This fucking guy over here.
Free buses. They polled New York City residents. The free bus idea had like 80% support. And they want you to believe that's radical. It's like, no.
Insane.
This is mainstream. And so, of course, they're trying to dig up old, like, culture war related tweets and whatever.
It doesn't work. The right tried to do that to me. It doesn't work. They tried to do it to me. Mike Cernovich dug up my old tweets and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it just made everybody like me more.
Well, these were
and the same shit is happening with him.
Yeah, but these were more of the, the talking about the NYPD and, them being anti-queer, and it was like, it was that kind of stuff, and calling for defunding the police. That's the stuff that they're digging up with him and trying to make that what he's about. But because his campaign was so laser focused on making the city affordable with these super concrete policies that people could really just like sink their teeth into, and he's so strongly associated with that, it just doesn't land in the same way. So the meltdown has been glorious. CNBC is melting down. Democratic leadership's freaking, they don't know what to do.
Did you see the thing on CNBC? Was it Jim Cramer? And somebody was like, he's trying to give working people a chance, and I think it was Cramer chimes in, and he's like, what about giving rich people a chance?
Oh my God.
Who will think of the rich people?
Oh man, the narcissism of these people is unbelievable.
And then you had Laura Loomer and Charlie Kirk go full fucking total Islamophobic bigot
and
asshole.
Stephen Miller too, by the way.
Stephen Miller too, but Charlie Kirk said some shit like, we had over 2,000 Americans die in 9/11 over 20 years ago, and now a Muslim mayor is running the country. As if like the fact that you're comparing this guy to fucking Al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, the president that you support, Charlie, was just making a deal with the actual former Al-Qaeda guy who now runs Syria. You son of a bitch. You prick. Like, they see a Muslim and they're just like, evil, bad, terrorist. And Laura Loomer did it, Charlie Kirk did it. It's just
Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out, like, the Statue of Liberty with the burqa on it.
Oh my God,
they're all like,
bro.
New York has fallen. And the thing this was pissing me off maybe more than anything. It's all so disgusting. It's just so naked. but Stephen Miller was doing the whole like great replacement theory with regard to New York City, and his particular like racist cope was that Zoran won because of all of the like illegal immigrants who have taken over New York City. And it's like, you know, he has to lie about it because, first of all, Zoran's coalition was truly multi-ethnic, multiracial. You know, it was his strongest support was like working and middle class people. And so when you see he had native born and he had immigrants coming together in this like collective universalist solidarity project, yeah, that is a direct threat to Stephen Miller's racist white nationalist blood and soil project. And so he has to lie about it and pretend like that's not what's happening.
If it was only white people who voted, Zoran would have won by more. Right. If only white people voted, Zoran would have had an even bigger victory.
Yeah.
And Stephen Miller is making it seem like you got to get rid of all the minorities so that like psychos like him can get elected. We don't fucking like you, bro. We don't, look at me. I'm white as fuck. We don't like you. We don't like you. You're a piece of shit. You look like, who is it, Goebbels? It's Goebbels, right? Is it Goebbels or Himmler? Goebbels, I think. He looks like a literal fucking Nazi, and his policies are Nazi shit.
He is a literal Nazi.
I know, and it's like, but I love it because it really is the case that all these idiots were baited into overreaching. And this was the thing, right? When Kamala first jumped in and she started doing the, we're going to ban price gouging for groceries, and then like all the Fox idiots and Trump and all them were calling her a communist.
Yeah.
She was going up in the polls when they did that.
That's when she had the best job.
Yeah, because she's saying, hey, I'm gonna freeze, I'm gonna end the price gouging for groceries, and they're like, how dare you? And it's like, people look at that and they go, I don't know, I kind of like that idea. You can call it whatever you want, but I kind of like the fucking idea.
Well, it makes it so you're fighting on
your grounds.
Winning ground.
Your
so
grounds.
It's like, you want to fight price gouging? You want to fight about free buses? You want to fight about freezing the rent? Let's do that all day long. And that's the ground where lefties can win, and they can win big. For him to, it is mind-blowing. He came out of nowhere. And he was polling at 0% when he entered this race. And you remember the first thing that really put him on the map. I think you covered it. I know we covered it.
Yeah.
Right after Trump won, he just went out with the camera and was like talking to New Yorkers, like, why'd you vote for him? Who'd you vote for? Why'd you vote for him? And that went super viral of people just explaining, regular New Yorkers just explaining, like, here's how I was thinking about the election. And then from there, obviously his like content game was top notch, but the message was laser focused. I'm super proud that we had Zoran on Breaking Points, before he became sort of national phenom.
We were supposed to have him on KKF, but remember that he was like literally on the floor of the New York Assembly, and then he had to go.
Tech issue, that unfortunately, created a problem. But
but he was willing to do the show,
Yeah, totally. And so we really, were impressed with him early, but I didn't think he could win. It was like, this is cool. It's amazing that he's even giving Cuomo any kind of a run for his money. But Cuomo's such a juggernaut. And, Zoran, this 33-year-old guy coming out of nowhere, like literally starting, like I said, at 0% in the polls. It's just, it's so great. It's just so great.
We also have to point out the obvious, too, which is that he's got the X factor. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He's so charismatic.
Which is what is also funny about Trump's tweet, is it's trying to act like that's not the case when everybody knows that's the case.
The other thing is, he is fucking good on his feet, too. Like, he was asked by Stephen Colbert, like, hey, what would you say to Jewish voters who, see a rise in anti-Semitism and they don't agree with some of the stuff you said? And he handled that shit masterfully. He validated that anti-Semitism is a scourge and it's a problem and it's horrible, but then he put the little cherry on top at the end, which was like, look, I agree with Palestinian freedom and liberation, and that's something that's super important,
Yeah, and he was sitting right next to Brad Lander, who, again, highest Jewish elected official in the city of New York, who was like, this dude's not an anti-Semite, so, this is not my experience with him. So, even though, like, it was obnoxious, the way Colbert asked it was obnoxious. It was obnoxious that this became such a focus of the campaign.
But it helped him.
I actually think that helped him, too, because it gave him, especially with Lander sitting there, it gave him a chance to just sort of, like, totally put it to bed.
But that's also, a good politician can take something that's supposed to be a negative and flip it into a positive.
Right, because then it gave him an opportunity to, address this issue they're trying to dog him with. I felt the same thing about the most infamous moment to me on the campaign was at the debate when they did the lightning round and ask everybody what's the first foreign country you would visit. Weird question to start with when you're running for New York City mayor. And almost everybody on the stage is like, oh, Israel, of course. Whitney Tilson's like, Israel and Ukraine. And they get to Zoran and he's like, I'm staying in New York. Like, I'm running to be mayor. I'm going to be here in New York. And they're like,
how dare you?
But will you go to Israel?
Why do you hate Israel?
And then when he's like, well, I'll see Jewish voters here in New York City, like wherever they're at the store, you know, at the temple. That's where I'm going to be delivering for Jewish New Yorkers. And they're like, well, do you support Israel's right to exist? And that's when he first was like, yeah, as a state with equal rights.
And they were like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah.
Equal rights? Disgusting.
And that was such a genius move, because who can oppose equal rights?
Yeah, he flips it back on them like, if you oppose this, you're actually crazy.
Right.
You know, they're trying to hit him with, say the thing I want you to say or you're crazy. And he's like, actually, no, if you don't say the thing I'm saying, you're crazy.
Right. You're against people having equal rights. Tell me more about that. That seems like a position you should have to defend, to be honest with you, especially in the context of a Democratic primary. So. And
it looks like some of the Democrats now are actually saying, yeah, it's over. We're getting behind Zoran.
I saw Bill Clinton who had endorsed Cuomo and recorded a robocall for him, which is LOL. But I saw he put out a message. I thought that was significant.
Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah.
He said, like, you know, congratulations on his meeting with him. I think Chuck Schumer said some shit.
Have said, like, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, to me, their messages, and Kathy Hochul, are very carefully calibrated as, like, could go either way. It's not like they were immediately like, we're behind you for November.
But they said they're meeting with him, right?
They said they're meeting with him, yeah. But to me, they were leaving the door open. So we'll see.
But to your point, won't there be such a revolt if they try to rat fuck him? They're already on thin ice. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're already on thin ice. You think Chuck Schumer doesn't remember when he let Trump do the continuing resolution and literally everybody in the party was like, go fuck yourself and resign?
Right.
You think he doesn't remember that?
Yeah. No,
so he doesn't have much political capital. Like, he doesn't have much room to maneuver.
You know, on the other hand, he may be retiring. You know, he's old.
Which, by the way,
he's not up till 2028, so he might be retiring.
You saw he was hospitalized today.
I did,
right?
Yeah.
The initial report said it was dehydration.
Maybe. It's very hot.
Maybe. But, like,
very hot.
Look at the contrast, though. Like, the old guard, that's what the old guard is, like, literally being fucking hospitalized.
They're, like, literally collapsing.
And dying.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got, like, Zoran, who's like, bro, let's go. Like, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Like, you see the future, and you see, like, the fumes of the past that they're running on, and they're just, they can't keep it. That's the thing, Chris. I don't think they can keep it together anymore, right? Like, in the same way that Trump sort of broke the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They all, we want Jeb Bush, we want Marco Rubio. Hey, we'll even take Ted Cruz. And Trump was just like, no, I'm the guy, because he made the base fall in love with him. I think that's what's going to happen in the Democratic Party. We saw it now for the first time with Zoran.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, in a 2028 Democratic primary, yeah, Alyssa Slotkin might try to run, but, like, give me a break. You know, you can't hold back the wave anymore.
I think that's right. And what's changed is the Democratic base falling out with the Democratic leadership and with their media institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And that just completely changes everything. Because in 2020, what made it possible for that race to turn away from Bernie with the, you know, Obama's intervention and all the elites consolidating was that the elites still had that kind of credibility and purchase with the base, where when they were like, and the media was like, oh, you gotta vote for Joe Biden to beat Trump. The Democratic base was like, all right, that's what we're going to do. And they don't have that hold anymore. Because now the base knows,
oh, it's AOC and it's Bernie who are fighting Trump.
Right.
They know that. They know, oh, I see who's fighting. I see Tim Walz fighting.
Not only that, but they see Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. These people are pathetic.
I know.
Pathetic. Like,
and everybody sees
pathetic.
that.
The country is being destroyed. The world is being destroyed. And you've got, like, next to nothing to say about it. And I'm seeing Kamala Harris, like, you have nothing to say about it? These are people who are supposed to be positioning themselves as, like, moral leaders, and they're completely absent. So, yeah, the people who have stepped into the void.
Isn't, like, Hillary saying more than Kamala?
She is. I've seen her at least out there, like, tweeting.
That's amazing. When Hillary, like, outflanked you. That's kind of wild.
It's pretty pathetic, isn't it? So, that's what's really different now, is how underwater Democratic leadership is with the Democratic base, and that really creates huge possibilities. And, you know, independent media, we've got our issues with some of the ways independent media has gone, but it is true that it creates new possibilities and has grown significantly as cable news has continued to decline.
Well, because now there actually is some like Democratic liberal media too.
Oh yeah.
That is more radical than leadership. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we're like
Midas
cheering
Touch-
Zoran Mamdani
Midas
winning.
Touch is way better than, you know, MSNBC, way better than, and certainly Democratic leadership. So.
Wow. So there you go, y'all. Donald Trump melting down, the right melting down,
So great.
baiting, you know, Zoran's existence. That kind of happened under the Obama era too, where Obama's existence baited the right into just being like total psychopathic
Ridiculous.
racists.
Yeah.
And that made Obama's approval rating stay kind of high, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a similar thing with Zoran. If anything, it's even worse. Because they're basically calling him like a terrorist, you know?
Yeah. I saw that Baytar Worldwide, who are the people that are
Evacuate New York immediately.
yeah, they're the ones who are supposedly giving the Trump administration like the list of like Mahmoud Khalil and whoever that they want deported.
We're on those lists, by the way.
Probably. But yeah, they're like, Jews must evacuate New York. And someone was like, you first. And they're like, we're in Israel. It's like, I promise you, Jews are safer in New York City than they are in Israel right now. Promise you.
No doubt about
Thanks
it.
to the policies of the Israeli government. So
there you go, y'all.
Well, as Democrats, we have to take our victories where we can get them, right? But the one thing you can depend on, I guess, is that, you know, we don't judge a person by their heritage, you know, whether that person's Muslim or whatever, you know, whether any demographic, okay? We go by, you know, what they believe in, what they say they want to do, okay? And we make our choices based on that. But as you can see, the reaction from MAGA is that, oh my God, they got a Muslim, you know, and it's like, you know what, you know, that, I mean, talk about revealing yourself to be racist. I mean, that right there is proof right there. And it's like, you know, so what? I mean, if he was a Republican, would you have voted for him because he was a Muslim? I mean, that kind of puts the, you know, a really, what do you call it? A logic bomb in their works, is because they don't fucking understand that you guys are, yeah, you're racist, but you're also very party oriented, okay? That you would accept somebody that you don't like as a congressman, a senator, or somebody like that because they have an R next to their name. In the same way that you would accept a rich man who has a criminal background to become president of the United States because he ran as an R. You see what I'm saying? If it was a Democrat in that position who was as corrupt as Trump, all right, and was running for president, you know, the Republicans would have had a fit if he won. They would have started impeachment before he even took the oath of office. Okay, you know that's what would have happened. Why the Democrats can't play it that way, I don't know. That's a topic for a different conversation. But the fact is, we know how Republicans think, so it's not surprising. It's not surprising that they are pissed off about this. Okay, it is happy and it is kind of funny to watch how the things they say and how they reveal themselves with their own statements and their own actions. You know, that's the funny part of it, is that everything we say about them, they get pissed off about. But yet, when something like this happens, they come out and they prove we're right. You know, by what they say. And it's like, Jesus, you guys, you're sitting here, you spend all this time trying to say, we're not racist, we're not this and that. And then when somebody you don't like, okay, wins, you know, power in something, a mayor up to a senator or something like that, and they happen to be part of this this part of this demographic that you're currently pissed off at and hate to the core, this person wins, and you come out and you say all the fucking things that Democrats have accused you of being for so many decades, okay? And what made me laugh was I had read a comment after this happened yesterday, and somebody had wrote down, "We are the party of Abraham Lincoln," meaning to say like, well, Lincoln freed the slaves or something like that. And I'm thinking, that right there is like, is laughable, because Lincoln would not even be a part of this group of people today if he were still alive. I don't think Lincoln would want to be part of MAGA. So to say that we are the party of Lincoln, and after they say all these nasty things about this mayor here, okay, it's like, you guys are so hypocritical. It's so, a person couldn't even make this shit up in a story and make it believable, but because it's happening in reality, it's insane. You guys, you spend all your time disparaging groups of people, even women, for Christ's sake. You guys don't like anybody that isn't white and has a thing between their legs. Okay, that's what you guys do. And yet, you sit here and you try to, look inclusive. Okay, you try to be inclusive. Like Carrie Lake or something. You back Carrie Lake. Well, you guys ditched her. Okay, goes to show you don't even stand up for a woman who is in your party. Okay, when she lost in Arizona, MAGA basically wrote her off. Okay, and left her to her own devices, which was fine with me. Okay, but it goes to show you, because she wasn't a man, they weren't going to fight for her. All right, so but their true nature gets revealed every time they things like this happen. Okay, and it's like, what more evidence does anybody ever need than to draw from about Republicans than when times like these happen? Okay, they voted wholeheartedly for a man who is racist, who is misogynistic, homophobic, all the phobias. Okay, okay, he's all of those things, and on top of that, he's a criminal. But I guess being a criminal is okay as long as you're against blacks and you're against people of different ethnicities. Okay, as long as you're that, then it's okay that you raped a woman. It's okay you stole money. It's okay you've gone bankrupt 6 times. It's okay, that you've didn't pay your taxes. All these things are, who cares, right? But you guys try to put Democrats away for far less. Okay, but Trump, he's made enough fucking crimes in his life to impeach him 15 times. Okay, you could put 15 presidents away for the amount of crimes that he's done in just his 6-7 months in office. Okay, that's how insane this is. If there's any person who qualifies to be a fucking impeached president, it's him. All the other presidents we've ever had problems with never met to this fucking level. Trump is the first. He is the first leader of this country who deserves to be he earned the right to be impeached. Okay, he didn't earn the right to be a president, but he earned his place to be impeached. And by God, if I was running the Congress right now, I wouldn't shut up about that. Every fucking day, that would be my number one topic until somebody listened. I would not shut up about that. Okay, I would drive people fucking crazy. I'd keep bringing in that list. The list would keep getting longer. Every day. Here's a new thing, new charge, to impeach him on. And I would just keep at it. After a while, when the paper is longer than the other, going from one side of town to the other, somebody's going to have to say, okay, how much, because there's not going to be any defense for any of this shit. It's the indefensible, and it's MAGA trying to defend the indefensible. Okay, and when they're forced to have to defend so much shit from Trump, they're going to get tired. I would think they would get tired of this. They'd have to find a new cult leader just to start over, because their image would be brought down as quickly as Trump's popularity numbers are. Okay, MAGA right now is a joke. It's a circus. We don't take them serious anymore because they've proven themselves to be very despicable people, very untrustworthy. These are people that you don't want to hang around with. You don't want to be associated with. Okay, even if they're family members, you don't want to hang around with them. I have family members that are part of that fucking cult, and everybody else stays the hell away from them because we don't want to hear from them. You know, my family, we like to talk politics all the time, and if there's anybody in MAGA there that's at that party, they're going to get pissed off. And simply, we don't want to hear from them because their point of view is never logical, it's never reasonable, and it's always laced with some pretty bad attitudes, okay? We don't want to hear from them. And, you know, I just feel like, you know, this is, you know, the time here where people are really going to have to start thinking about pushing back hard, okay? We got to marginalize these people. We have to put them in their place, you know? And I know I said in the last video, talking to these people doesn't really help because they're too stupid to understand where they're wrong. Okay, it's like trying to convince a broken computer that it's broken. You know, how can you, you know, you can't, it's not going to know because it's broken. So that's what these people are. And I see them everywhere, right? And they're still arrogant. They still think Trump is great and everything. And I think it's because they're programmed since the beginning to think that, and they just can't. It's like trying to force a little kid to eat their Brussels sprouts, okay, because it's good for them. That's what it's like with MAGA, to make them think that Trump is bad, okay? You can't do it. You just can't fucking do it, okay? They're going to throw a hissy fit. They're going to, you know, they're going to get pissed because they believe wholeheartedly in Trump, all right? But you have to push back against them. Meaning, what I mean by that is when they start yakking, you ignore them. Okay, when they start saying that, you correct them. Say you're wrong there, and this is why, and then just ignore them. Okay, you gotta make them feel like outsiders. Some of you people, you ever felt like an outsider when you're in a group of people talking, and you just feel like you're not part of the conversation, and then you just kind of walk away? That's what you got to do at MAGA. You have to let them know that you're not welcome around us. We don't want to hear from you because what you got to say is not important, okay? And we don't hear you. All right, so let them live in their little echo chamber and their little bubble of reality and enjoy their topics, because believe me, what they have to say in these little groups is laughable, for one thing, and immature, and it's very ridiculous, and it doesn't, you know, a person with any intelligence would not waste their time listening to their mongrel attitudes and shit like that, okay? These people are beyond redemption. Some of them, you know, thankfully it took a while, but some of them have realized that they were duped and no longer support Trump, okay? Those are the ones that you can save, but the very core of the MAGA movement will always be there. It's just like the teabaggers, okay? The teabaggers were the forerunners to the MAGA movement, and so you can pretty much figure that those teabaggers are the core, because they came back together. They regrouped under a different banner. So those are the core, you know, the core entities inside of MAGA. Those folks that they suckered into their movement because they made people feel like Joe Biden was the worst president in history. Okay, those are the ones who have come around and decided that Trump is actually worse than they were led to believe, and that they're not going to be part of that movement. So, yeah, it's a very strange, very chaotic time to be in politics right now in this country, because I think it goes beyond what Kamala Harris had said in a speech about how this country's trying to figure out what it wants to be. I don't think it's that. I think what we have is a country that is split, and one side is trying to dominate the other. Okay? They want the country to be this. And they're going to get their way, no matter how many rules they break, no matter how many laws they cross or lines they cross. You know, they're going to do it their way. And the only way the country will end up being what we don't want it to be is when the rest of us don't fucking call them out, don't try to push back. Okay? And that means, you know, we have to stand up for our side just as much as they stand up for theirs. Okay? And sometimes that's going to mean, you know, we're going to have to get down in the mud with them at some point and slug it out in some fashion in order to, you know, to prove that, you know, we mean what we say. We are the majority. We still are the majority in this country, but we have to get the majority together in order to overthrow the other side. Okay? That means being the majority doesn't mean, well, because we're the majority, we don't have to do anything because somebody else will. No. In like a war, when you fight in a war, all the troops have to work together. You don't get to have troops that say, I'm going to sit it out. You guys go fight this battle. I'm going to do the next one. No. Every battle is a battle of numbers, and you got to have everybody together no matter what. Okay? Whether you're having a good day or a bad day or whatever, you still got to fight. And that's what it means to be in politics and having to get your side to win, is whether you're having a good day or a bad day, you have to get out and fight. Okay? I'm sorry, you know, that they didn't stress that enough to you in school when you was being taught civics class, but that's the responsibility every citizen of this country has on their shoulders, is that, you know, we have to be engaged in our politics as much as we are in our lives, our private lives, because, you know, elections have consequences. We're living through that right now. Elections have consequences, and when we take a day off from politics and we don't get engaged or we don't stay informed about what's going on, that's when the other side will slip through the cracks and get something that you didn't want them to have. Okay? They do it through a religious fervor. You know what I'm saying? The right wing, they use religion as a motivator to make these people do what they want. They figure, oh, God is behind us. God wants us to do this. He wants to turn our country into a police state. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? They use religion as a way to motivate and brainwash people to be Republican. The Democrats are going to have to come up with something as equally impactful as that. Okay, whether it be religion or whatever the hell you want to make. But we have to be that committed as they are. Okay? Even when they're in the wrong, they're still committed on doing the wrong. So we have to be committed to doing the right. And because what we're doing is right, I mean, I would think that would be enough motivation. It's like wearing a seatbelt when you're driving. Okay? I know a lot of people don't like to wear it, but we understand the logic behind it. Okay, it's to protect us from when I get in an accident, you know, the airbags and everything. That's all there for a reason. Okay, yeah, I know you don't like to wear wrinkles your clothes and all this bullshit and all that, and that doesn't mean we should get rid of seatbelts. No, we keep the seatbelts because they, in the long run, they will save our ass. Okay, so that's the way Democrats have to look at these things. Yeah, we're standing for something good. The other side thinks it's ridiculous and you know, we don't need it, but we know that we do because of the benefits, the big benefits that we get from it. And we have to be equally committed to standing for that. Okay? Just like the healthcare issue. Okay? We know that that's a problem, a big problem in this country, and it needs to be changed. It's got people mad enough they're killing CEOs over it. Okay? Healthcare in this country is an abomination, and Democrats know this. We also know that it affects the right wing as much as it affects Democrats, but yet the right wing doesn't seem to care. But we're fighting for them too, because we know it's right. So, but yes, we have to take in our little victories when they come, and certainly New York City. You know, they got a mayor here that Trump doesn't like, which means it's somebody Trump probably can't manipulate yet. Okay, never count out a possibility. But just saying, for right now, when he's upset and pissed off, that's when we should be celebrating. Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys later, so see you then.